Woo. Hello, my name is Jake Lee from North Clackamas Schools in Oregon, and I am here to I'm here to challenge the elementary educators in the room to shift the core focus from the coding and programming in your classroom away from the tools and more towards the powerful thinking that it promotes in our youngest learners. Now, as an early childhood educator and a digital literacy coach for the past 11 years, I often hear teachers proclaim, I teach coding, and when I take that conversation further, I often hear, I let my kids go on code.org or whatever preset curriculum exists when they complete their work. Now, in a world that desperately needs more computer programmers, I'm not discouraging this practice. I just feel the time has come to dive deeper into the why of why we teach coding and programming in the elementary classroom. Quite often I hear from teachers, I finished the code.org curriculum. Now what? And just as often, I'm asked by parents, why do elementary kids even need to learn this? I attempt to tell them it's an essential 21st century skill. That's like giving kids a superpower to communicate and control the devices around them. It's like learning another language. I attempt to break down computational thinking to them, but I'm quite often met with, bored looks and glassed over eyes. I've determined that this reaction comes from not seeing the deeper impact that coding and programming can have in our classrooms. So now what? What can teachers do to seamlessly embed coding and programming into their elementary level classrooms? The key is in computational thinking. The 4 elements of computational thinking are decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, and algorithm design, which are all kind of fancy and boring words for looking deeply at problems while looking for creative and efficient ways to solve them. Say what? Computational thinking at its core is to look deeply at problems that arise, ask yourself why this is happening, and then develop a step-by-step program or algorithm to solve that problem and similar problems? Does that sound familiar to anyone? Yes, it sounds like pretty much every classroom management routine that you have in your classroom. So while coding and programming might just seem like something cool to teach or something extra, it really is just a powerful thinking tool that helps our kids solve problems in innovative and creative ways. And while those big computational thinking words might sound intimidating, they're really naturally suited for young learners because they promote creating, tinkering, debugging, and persevering, which are things that our kids are doing naturally every day anyway. So when you are developing reading strategies, why not embed coding language to teach your kids tricky words? Because when the kids in my classroom come to a tricky word, they follow the common routine. Is your mouth ready? Say the word slowly. Look for chunks. Does it make sense? That sounds a lot like an algorithm. Elementary writers follow a very common writing routine. Brainstorming, planning, sketching, writing, editing, publishing. Couldn't we easily just call that our writing algorithm? And couldn't we, when problems arise in these routines, because we all know they always do, couldn't we just find the bugs in those programs, think deeply about it, and revise it? Couldn't this seamless integration of coding thinking and language promote kids to seamlessly embed coding in, code the stories that they read and write? Kelso's choices for solving problems could easily be thought of as Kelso's algorithm for solving conflicts, where your students look deeply at the problems that arise and then think of step-by-step ways to solve those problems. Coding was most powerful in my first grade class when it became a natural tool for kids to share out their learning and their thinking. Giving kids the opportunity to code their learning at the end of the unit became wildly popular and a choice they made often. My kids, my first graders, yes, first graders, coded educational games for kindergarteners, subtraction problems, writer's workshop stories, and even the pollination dance of bees using Dot and Dash by Wonder Workshop, Scratch Junior, and Ozobots. Coding will also naturally spark collaboration in your classroom. Teaching kids to collaborate in more meaningful ways is a goal of most teachers. So coding naturally has your kids collaborate in authentic and challenging ways. Educational technology tools are best when they enhance, not replace, the curriculum in your classroom. And all I'm asking is that you bring coding along for the ride. Now, as you plan for the upcoming school year, I want you to look for the more deeper, meaningful impacts that coding and programming can have in your classroom. It's time to take coding from something more than just cool to teach and make it a more powerful thinking tool in our classrooms. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear about my passion for coding and programming today, and I look forward to the world as we train our future coders, programmers, and designers. Thank you very much. Go Oregon! Woo!